The world of alien encounters has long fascinated humanity, blending mystery with fear, awe with curiosity. For centuries, people have looked to the skies, wondering what, or who, might lie beyond the familiar confines of Earth. From ancient folklore to modern UFO sightings, the idea of extraterrestrial life has become a cornerstone of our cultural imagination. Yet, despite the overwhelming number of reports from credible witnesses, from everyday civilians to military personnel, one question persists: what are these encounters, and what do they really mean? This exploration will take us through 6 true stories of alien encounters that span decades, cultures, and continents. While many of these stories are unsettling, filled with strange occurrences and unexplained phenomena, they also hold within them a deeper truth: our thirst for knowledge, our desire to understand what lies beyond our world, and perhaps our willingness to confront the unknown. The stories of those who have lived through these strange events reveal not just chilling moments of fear, but also profound transformations in perception and belief. In these stories, we won't just explore the aliens or the encounters themselves. Instead, we will delve into the emotions of those who experience them, the fear, the wonder, and the deep sense of something far greater than the self. These individuals, from fishermen to military officers, have faced experiences that challenge the very fabric of reality, leaving them forever changed by their brush with the unexplained. The phenomenon of UFOs and alien encounters has been a topic of public interest for decades, reaching its peak during the mid-20th century with high-profile incidents, such as the Roswell crash of 1947. Yet, for every widely known event, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of lesser-known stories, each adding another layer to the complex tapestry of UFO history. And while some skeptics dismiss these stories as fabrications or misidentifications, the sheer volume and consistency of reports suggest that something is happening, something we still cannot fully explain. As we journey through these encounters, we'll reflect not only on the facts, as they are known, but also on how the world has reacted to them. Government reports, media coverage, and the scientific community's response have all played a significant role in shaping the narrative of alien encounters. Yet despite official explanations and dismissals, the stories continue to captivate our imaginations and fuel our curiosity. Why does the idea of extraterrestrial life evoke such a deep sense of mystery? And what do these encounters reveal about the human experience? The accounts you will hear are not merely tales of alien beings or unidentified flying objects. They are stories of ordinary people who, for a brief moment, were thrust into a reality beyond their understanding, where the line between the known and the unknown blurs, and where the mysteries of the universe collide with the everyday world. Through these stories, you will come to see that perhaps the question is not so much what are aliens, but what does it mean to encounter something so inexplicable, so outside our current understanding, that it challenges our very sense of reality. As we explore these stories, let the mystery unfold gently, like the fading glow of an unfamiliar light on the horizon. Allow your mind to drift as we uncover these encounters, each one a piece of a much larger puzzle, one that we may never fully solve, but will always continue to seek. And as you listen, let the intrigue linger, but let your mind also rest, knowing that the mysteries of the universe are there to be pondered, perhaps even as you slip into a peaceful, restful sleep. One of the most unsettling and widely discussed alien encounters in modern history is the Pascagoula abduction, which took place in 1973. On the night of October 11th, 2 men, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, were fishing on the banks of the Pascagoula River in Mississippi when their peaceful evening was interrupted by an encounter that would forever change their lives. What they described was not just a strange sighting, but an alien abduction, one that would be meticulously investigated, analyzed, and even questioned for decades. The men were relaxing in their boat when they saw a bright blue light hovering above the water. At first, they assumed it was simply an aircraft, but as the light drew closer, the situation became more surreal. The light hovered silently above them before suddenly vanishing, only to reappear much closer. The next moment, the 2 men were paralyzed by a strange force. They described feeling as though they were being pulled into the air, their bodies seemingly weightless, yet unable to move or scream. In the blink of an eye, the men were transported into an unknown craft. The inside of the craft was unlike anything they had ever seen. Hickson and Parker described seeing beings that were neither human nor animal, but humanoid figures with gray skin, claw-like hands, and a robotic, mechanical way of moving. The beings did not speak, but communicated telepathically. For what felt like an eternity, the two men were subjected to a series of medical examinations, which they would later recall under hypnosis. The beings' actions were not violent, but the men felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness and fear. Hickson recalled a sense of being looked over, as if the creatures were performing a cold, clinical examination with no concern for their well-being. When the men were finally returned to the riverbank, they were left in a dazed state, struggling to process what had just happened. Hickson and Parker tried to tell people about their experience, but they were met with disbelief. The local police, upon hearing their account, referred the men to a local mental health facility. The story could have easily been dismissed as a fabrication, except that the men's testimonies were remarkably consistent, and their emotional distress was undeniable. Both men later passed polygraph tests, which only added credibility to their claims, though skepticism remained rampant. The Pascagoula incident sparked immediate media interest, with news outlets from across the country descending on the small town of Pascagoula. The story became a sensation, and soon researchers and ufologists began to investigate. Despite this, there was little hard evidence to support the men's claims. There were no physical marks or lingering effects on their bodies, no tangible proof of the craft's existence, no photos or video footage. Yet the psychological impact of the event was undeniable. Hickson, especially, would later describe how the encounter altered his life, his sleep patterns, and his sense of reality. Over the years, both men would revisit the experience, sometimes under hypnosis, and their descriptions of the event remained consistent. However, the Pascagoula abduction remains one of the most perplexing cases in UFO history because of its emotional and psychological complexity. While other UFO sightings may be dismissed as misidentified aircraft or weather phenomena, this event had a deeply personal and profound impact on its witnesses. The psychological aftermath was as important as the physical encounter itself. For many, the Pascagoula incident brings to light the broader mystery of alien abductions. If these events are real, what is the purpose behind them? Why do these beings seem to conduct clinical examinations of human beings, often without any clear explanation or communication? And why do certain individuals, like Hickson and Parker, seem to be singled out for such experiences, while others may go their whole lives without any encounter at all? The Pascagoula encounter is often included in discussions of alien abductions because it stands out for its detailed and consistent testimony from the witnesses. The experience was not just a fleeting glimpse of an unidentified craft in the sky. It was a direct, personal contact with something otherworldly. And while the scientific community remains divided over the validity of the encounter, the emotional and psychological weight of the event is undeniable. For Hickson and Parker, it was a moment that forever shifted their view of the universe, an experience that made them question everything they thought they knew about reality, and one that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. In the end, the Pascagoula abduction may never be fully explained. Was it a genuine extraterrestrial encounter, a psychological phenomenon, or perhaps a combination of both? The ambiguity of the case only adds to the mystery, keeping it alive in the minds of UFO enthusiasts and skeptics alike. What remains clear is the lasting impact this event had on the two men involved. For them, the memory of that night on the Pascagoula River would never fade. It would become a defining moment, not just in their lives, but in the ongoing search for answers to one of humanity's most enduring questions. Are we truly alone in the universe? The Rendlesham Forest incident, often referred to as Britain's Roswell, remains one of the most significant and controversial UFO sightings in history. It took place in December 1980 near the RAF Woodbridge Base in Suffolk, England. Over a span of 3 nights, a series of strange events occurred that involved multiple military personnel, including members of the U.S. Air Force, who were stationed at the base. What began as a report of unusual lights in the sky soon evolved into a bizarre and unsettling series of encounters with a craft that defied explanation. The first of these incidents occurred on the night of December 26th, when two airmen, John Burroughs and Jim Peniston, went into the nearby Rendlesham Forest after receiving reports of strange lights in the sky. What they found was unlike anything they had ever seen. They described a large, triangular-shaped object hovering silently just above the ground. The craft emitted a strange red light, and as the airmen approached, they noted that the craft had a metal surface that seemed to shimmer, as if it were made of some material not found on Earth. Burroughs and Peniston attempted to approach the craft, but when they got too close, they experienced a sudden sense of dread and unease, as though the object itself was alive, watching them. After observing the object for several minutes, Peniston reported touching the craft, and when he did, he felt an intense electrical charge pass through his hand. After this strange encounter, the object rose into the sky and vanished at incredible speed, leaving the two men shaken and confused. Later that night, the incident was reported to their superiors, but it was far from over. The next evening, a team of security personnel was sent into the forest to investigate further. They too encountered strange lights and unusual phenomena, but the most disturbing event took place when a craft, similar to the one described by Burroughs and Peniston, appeared once again. This time, the lights were even more intense, and the object was surrounded by a glowing mist, making it appear even more otherworldly. Several witnesses, including the base commander, Colonel Charles Halt, observed the object as it hovered silently above the forest. Halt later recorded a detailed report of the incident, noting the bizarre behavior of the lights and the craft's ability to move in ways that defied the laws of physics. What made the Rendlesham Forest case particularly intriguing was the sheer number of military personnel involved. It wasn't just one or two individuals who witnessed the strange phenomena, but dozens of trained professionals, many of whom had extensive experience in identifying aircraft and aerial phenomena. Their accounts were remarkably consistent, and they were all highly trained observers, accustomed to dealing with unusual or unexpected situations. Yet, despite their expertise, they were unable to identify the craft or explain the events they witnessed. In the aftermath of the incident, several investigations were conducted, both by military officials and independent UFO researchers. The U.S. Air Force's official stance on the Rendlesham Forest event has been one of dismissal and skepticism. A government report issued shortly after the incident suggested that the lights seen in the forest were simply the result of a misidentified meteorological phenomenon, perhaps a falling star or a nearby lighthouse. However, many involved in the incident, including Colonel Halt, have consistently rejected this explanation, citing the physical evidence, including the effects on the environment around the site and the radiation readings taken by the witnesses, which suggested something far more unusual was at play. In addition to the physical evidence, there is the question of the psychological and emotional impact the event had on those who witnessed it. Like many other UFO witnesses, the men and women involved in the Rendlesham Forest incident experienced a profound sense of fear and confusion. Some claimed to have had vivid dreams and nightmares after the event, while others reported a lingering sense of unease that persisted long after the incident had ended. It is clear that the experience left a lasting mark on all those involved, even as they struggled to make sense of what had happened. Over the years, the Rendlesham Forest incident has become a touchstone in the study of UFOs and extraterrestrial encounters. It has been the subject of books, documentaries, and numerous investigations. Yet, despite the wealth of testimony and the official records documenting the events, the case remains controversial. Skeptics continue to argue that the events in Rendlesham Forest can be explained away by more mundane phenomena, such as military exercises, misidentifications, or natural occurrences, while others maintain that the incident was an encounter with something truly extraordinary, something that cannot be explained by conventional means. What sets the Rendlesham Forest case apart from other UFO encounters is not just the number of credible witnesses, but the way it has been handled by both the military and the public. The government's initial refusal to take the incident seriously, followed by the gradual declassification of documents and witness testimonies, has only fueled the mystery. For many, The Rendlesham Forest incident serves as a key example of how UFO encounters are often dismissed or minimized, even when there is overwhelming evidence to suggest that something extraordinary took place. Whether or not the Rendlesham Forest incident can be definitively explained remains a matter of debate. However, the consistent testimonies of the witnesses, the physical evidence gathered, and the strange, unexplainable nature of the events themselves continue to keep this case alive in the public consciousness. For those who believe in the possibility of extraterrestrial life, the Rendlesham Forest incident is an important piece of the puzzle, an event that defies easy explanation and challenges our understanding of what is possible in our world. In 1976, four men who were on a camping trip in the remote wilderness of Maine found themselves entangled in an experience that would alter their lives forever. The Allagash abductions, as they would come to be known, began as a seemingly innocent canoeing excursion, but soon transformed into a harrowing encounter with beings from another world. The men, Charlie Faltz, Jim Weiner, Jack Weiner, and their cousin Tom, had set off for a peaceful night of fishing and camping near the Allagash River. The night was clear, and as they paddled their canoe through the dark waters, they had no idea that they would soon be part of one of the most unsettling and mysterious UFO cases of the 20th century. Their peaceful evening began to unravel when they noticed a strange, bright light in the sky. Initially, they thought it was simply an aircraft passing by, but as the light grew brighter and closer, they realized that it was unlike anything they had ever seen. The light was too intense to be a typical aircraft, and it hovered eerily in the sky, moving in ways that seemed unnatural. The men were both mesmerized and terrified. At first, they continued paddling, trying to ignore the strange presence above them. But the light continued to follow them, growing larger and more blinding with every passing minute. Suddenly, the light appeared to descend, and as it did, the men became paralyzed with fear. They described the sensation of being unable to move, as if some unseen force had frozen them in place. What followed next is one of the most chilling aspects of the encounter. Although they had been fully awake and alert, they began to experience a lapse in time. What felt like mere moments of confusion and panic turned into hours, as the men later realized they had lost track of time entirely. The next thing they knew, they were back on shore, several miles away from where they had last been, with no recollection of how they had gotten there. What made this encounter even more strange and disturbing was that, for years, the men did not discuss what had happened. It wasn't until much later, after they had returned to their normal lives, that they began to experience vivid, unsettling dreams and flashbacks of their time on the river. These dreams often involved strange figures, unusual lights, and the sense that they had been taken aboard a craft, examined, and then returned without any understanding of why. It wasn't until 1988, over a decade after the event, that the men underwent hypnosis to try to uncover the memories that they had suppressed. Under hypnosis, they recalled startling and eerily similar details: the figures they had seen, the interior of the craft, and the overwhelming sense of being studied or experimented on by these beings. The hypnosis sessions revealed that the men had been subjected to an alien abduction experience, which included physical examinations and a sense of being controlled by forces beyond their comprehension. The beings they encountered were described as humanoid in form, with large heads and oversized black eyes, common traits in many abduction stories. The aliens, however, did not seem to communicate with the men in a traditional sense. Instead, the men reported experiencing a form of telepathic communication, where the beings conveyed information to them without speaking. This form of communication, often described in abduction cases, raised questions about the nature of these extraterrestrial beings and their methods of interaction with humans. The Allagash case is particularly intriguing because of the consistency of the men's testimonies. Though their memories were initially blocked by years of psychological repression, once they began to recall the events under hypnosis, their accounts aligned almost perfectly. The experience they described was not just a brief encounter or a fleeting moment of confusion. It was a profound and deeply disturbing event that left them with lasting emotional scars. The hypnosis sessions revealed how the men had struggled with the memories, some experiencing anxiety and fear, while others struggled to reconcile what they had witnessed with their everyday lives. One of the most compelling aspects of the Allagash abductions is the psychological analysis of the witnesses. While some skeptics argue that the men's memories were the result of suggestive hypnosis, many others point to the psychological and emotional trauma the men endured as evidence that something truly extraordinary happened. The experiences of the men fit neatly into the larger pattern of UFO abduction stories, which often involve similar themes of missing time, strange medical examinations, and telepathic communication. In many cases, the people involved in these abductions go through a long period of disbelief, followed by the eventual realization that their experiences were real, but also deeply troubling. In addition to the hypnosis sessions, the Allagash case has been the subject of extensive investigation by UFO researchers. Some have suggested that the men's encounter could have been a result of misidentified military aircraft or a natural phenomenon, but these explanations seem inadequate given the complexity and consistency of the men's accounts. There were also no other known reports of strange lights or sightings in the area at the time, making it unlikely that the men had simply seen something ordinary that they misinterpreted. The lack of any physical evidence from the encounter only adds to the mystery, but the emotional and psychological impact on the witnesses serves as a compelling argument for the authenticity of their experiences. The Allagash abductions remain one of the most perplexing and disturbing UFO encounters on record. Despite the skepticism and the challenges in proving the event beyond a doubt, the consistency of the witnesses' testimonies and the deep psychological effects they experienced suggest that something truly unexplainable took place that night. Like so many other alien abduction cases, the Allagash incident raises more questions than answers, leaving us to wonder, what happened to these men in the dark, remote woods of Maine? And what does their encounter reveal about the nature of extraterrestrial contact? While we may never have all the answers, the Allagash case continues to stand as a stark reminder of the mysteries that lie just beyond our understanding. The government's response to UFO sightings and alien encounters has been a subject of great intrigue and suspicion for decades. While many sightings have been dismissed or explained away as misidentifications of natural phenomena, the involvement of military personnel, government agencies, and the media has only fueled conspiracy theories and public skepticism. For years, UFO encounters were treated with skepticism by official sources, often dismissed as hoaxes, mass hysteria, or simply optical illusions. However, this approach began to change in the late 20th and early 21st centuries as more reports surfaced, particularly from military witnesses and credible sources, that could not easily be explained away. One of the most significant government responses to UFOs came in the form of Project Blue Book, which was initiated by the U.S. Air Force in 1952. The goal of the project was to investigate and analyze reports of unidentified flying objects and determine whether they posed a threat to national security. Over its 17-year run, Project Blue Book investigated over 12,000 UFO sightings, but it concluded that the majority of these incidents could be explained as either misidentified aircraft, weather phenomena, or natural occurrences. However, a small percentage of cases remained unexplained, fueling speculation that the government was hiding the truth about UFOs. The project was officially closed in 1969, with the Air Force claiming that UFOs posed no threat to national security and that no evidence of extraterrestrial life had been found. Despite this conclusion, many UFO researchers and witnesses felt that the government was either downplaying the significance of the unexplained cases or actively suppressing information. The secrecy surrounding UFO investigations only increased in the following decades. In the 1980s and 1990s, reports from military personnel, including fighter pilots and radar operators, began to surface, describing encounters with objects that defied conventional understanding of flight. These reports often involve high-speed objects that appeared to perform maneuvers beyond the capabilities of known human technology, raising questions about the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement. These accounts were often ignored or dismissed by mainstream media, but they did not go unnoticed by UFO researchers and enthusiasts, who saw them as evidence of a more significant cover-up. One of the most high-profile cases to emerge in recent years was the release of the Pentagon's UFO footage in 2017, which reignited public interest in UFOs and the possibility of extraterrestrial life. The footage, captured by U.S. Navy pilots, showed unidentified flying objects performing incredible aerial maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The Pentagon confirmed the authenticity of the videos, acknowledging that the objects in question were unexplained and urging further investigation into the phenomenon. The release of the footage was a groundbreaking moment, as it marked the first time in modern history that the U.S. government had openly acknowledged the existence of UFOs as legitimate objects of study. However, even this admission was met with caution, as the government refrained from commenting on the possibility that these objects were of extraterrestrial origin. Instead, the Pentagon referred to them as unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, emphasizing that their nature and origin remained unknown. The government's ongoing secrecy regarding UFOs has led to a growing sense of frustration and distrust among the public. Many individuals who have had personal encounters with UFOs or have investigated the phenomenon feel that they are being deliberately kept in the dark. Whistleblowers and former military personnel have come forward with claims that they were instructed to remain silent about their experiences and that information about UFOs is being actively suppressed by government agencies. These claims have fueled conspiracy theories, with some suggesting that the government is hiding evidence of extraterrestrial life, either to protect national security interests or to prevent public panic. The role of the media in shaping public perceptions of UFOs has also been significant. For much of the 20th century, the media portrayed UFO sightings as little more than sensational stories, often dismissing them as hoaxes or the product of overactive imaginations. This skepticism was reflected in the way UFOs were covered by mainstream outlets, which often treated them as trivial or laughable. However, as more credible witnesses came forward and as evidence began to accumulate, the media's treatment of UFOs began to shift. In the 1990s and 2000s, documentaries, books, and investigative reports began to explore the possibility that UFOs were not just the product of imagination, but represented something genuinely unexplained. The Pentagon's 2017 acknowledgement and the subsequent formation of the U.S. government's UAP task force marked a turning point in the media's approach to UFOs. While many outlets still remained cautious in their coverage, others embraced the idea that UFOs were a legitimate subject for investigation. The increased media attention has helped to shift the public conversation away from ridicule and toward a more open-minded exploration of the phenomenon. As the government continues to release more information and declassify documents related to UFOs, there is growing recognition that the phenomenon may not be as easily explained away as previously thought. Despite the government's reluctance to fully embrace the idea of extraterrestrial life, there is a palpable shift in public perception. People are beginning to accept that we may not be alone in the universe, and that the mysteries surrounding UFOs may be far more complex and significant than we previously believed. However, questions remain. Why has the government withheld so much information for so long? What are they not telling us? And perhaps most importantly, what do these unidentified aerial phenomena mean for our understanding of the world and our place in the cosmos? The continued secrecy surrounding UFOs, coupled with the increasing number of credible witnesses and declassified information, leaves us with more questions than answers. But as the government's stance on the subject continues to evolve, the public's curiosity only grows. Whether or not we will ever learn the full truth about UFOs and extraterrestrial life remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: the conversation about these phenomena is far from over, and the truth may be closer than we think. As UFO sightings and alien encounters continue to capture the public's imagination, some researchers and theorists have begun to suggest that extraterrestrial life may not be the only explanation for these phenomena. Over time, a number of alternative and paranormal theories have emerged, offering intriguing possibilities that challenge our traditional understanding of what might be happening during these encounters. These theories often explore the idea that the beings reported by witnesses might not come from other planets, but instead from alternate dimensions, future timelines, or even the minds of those experiencing the events. One of the most prominent alternative theories is the idea that UFOs and their occupants are not extraterrestrial in origin, but rather interdimensional beings, entities that exist in parallel dimensions or alternate realities. Proponents of this theory argue that the strange behavior of UFOs, including their ability to seemingly defy the laws of physics, can be explained by the idea that these objects are moving between different planes of existence. The idea of parallel universes and alternate dimensions has been a subject of scientific speculation for decades, especially in the field of quantum mechanics, and some believe that UFOs could be glimpses into these other worlds. The concept of interdimensional beings has gained popularity in recent years, particularly among those who feel that the traditional extraterrestrial hypothesis doesn't adequately explain the strange and often supernatural qualities of UFO encounters. Many witnesses describe their experiences in ways that don't seem to fit the classic image of an alien encounter. Some report seeing creatures that appear and disappear at will, or objects that move in ways that are impossible for any known aircraft. These accounts often include elements that seem to blend the physical and the metaphysical, such as strange lights, feelings of paralysis, and encounters that take place outside of normal time or space. Another alternative theory suggests that UFOs are not physical objects at all, but rather manifestations of the human mind, possibly linked to consciousness or psychic phenomena. According to this theory, UFO sightings could be a projection of unconscious fears, desires, or unresolved psychological issues. In this view, the beings that witnesses encounter are not real entities, but are instead constructs of the mind, perhaps created by the collective unconscious or influenced by cultural ideas about extraterrestrial life. This theory posits that UFOs may be an example of psychic projection, where a person's mind creates an experience that feels incredibly real, but is not necessarily grounded in the physical world. The connection between UFO sightings and psychological phenomena is not new. Throughout history, many reports of strange encounters, from alien abductions to ghostly visitations, have been linked to psychological states such as sleep paralysis, lucid dreaming, and even hallucinatory experiences. Some researchers suggest that the mind may play a much larger role in these experiences than we realize, with UFOs acting as a sort of symbolic manifestation of a person's inner fears or desires. In this sense, UFOs may not be external visitors at all, but rather an externalization of an internal process. A further layer of complexity is added by the theory that UFOs and alien encounters might be related to time travel. Some theorists suggest that the beings we encounter are not from outer space, but from the future, humanity's descendants who have developed advanced technology capable of time travel. In this scenario, UFO sightings could be glimpses of future humans visiting the past, either for exploration, research, or even a form of time tourism. This theory is often linked to the idea of chronomorphs, beings who are able to manipulate time and space, appearing in different eras as they move through history. While this theory may sound far-fetched, it has some intriguing parallels with the accounts of UFO sightings and alien encounters. Many reports describe encounters where the beings seem to be operating with a level of technology far beyond anything currently known to humanity. The ability of UFOs to appear and disappear without warning or to move at impossible speeds could be interpreted as evidence of time manipulation or travel. Additionally, some theorists argue that time travel could help explain the repetitive nature of certain UFO sightings, suggesting that these time-traveling visitors might be returning to specific points in history for unknown reasons. Another alternative theory that has gained traction in recent years is the idea that UFOs and aliens are connected to ancient civilizations or extraterrestrial intelligence that existed long before recorded history. Proponents of this theory often cite ancient texts, artwork, and religious symbols that depict strange beings or objects in the sky. These so-called ancient astronaut theories suggest that advanced civilizations may have visited Earth in the distant past, leaving behind clues in the form of artifacts, monuments, and myths. According to this view, modern UFO encounters are not a new phenomenon at all, but rather a continuation of an ongoing relationship between humanity and extraterrestrial visitors that spans thousands of years. The ancient astronaut theory challenges the traditional narrative of human history, suggesting that early humans were influenced or even directly assisted by extraterrestrial beings. Some proponents argue that ancient technologies, such as the construction of the pyramids or the discovery of advanced astronomical knowledge, could not have been achieved by early humans alone, and that extraterrestrial beings may have played a significant role in the development of human civilization. In this context, modern UFO sightings are seen as a return of these ancient visitors, perhaps seeking to re-establish contact or observe the progress of humanity. While each of these theories presents a unique perspective on the UFO phenomenon, they all share one common element. They challenge the conventional extraterrestrial explanation for UFO sightings and alien encounters. Whether the truth lies in the existence of parallel dimensions, time travel, psychic phenomena, or ancient civilizations, these alternative theories invite us to rethink our understanding of the universe and our place within it. As the search for answers continues, one thing remains certain. The mystery of UFOs is far more complex than we may have ever imagined, and the truth may be far stranger than we could ever anticipate. In the end, the possibility that UFOs represent something beyond the extraterrestrial opens up an entire new realm of exploration and discovery. These theories push the boundaries of what we think we know, inviting us to question not just the existence of alien life, but the very nature of reality itself. As more evidence emerges and more witnesses come forward with their accounts, we may find that the answer to the UFO mystery is not as simple as we once thought. Perhaps it is far more complex and far more fascinating than we could have imagined. The cultural impact of UFOs and alien encounters extends far beyond the realm of conspiracy theories and government investigations. Over the years, UFO sightings have shaped the way we think about the unknown, influencing everything from popular culture to philosophical discourse. These encounters challenge our understanding of life, the universe, and our place within it, and as such, they have become a significant part of our collective imagination. The themes of extraterrestrial life and UFOs have been woven into the fabric of society in ways that extend beyond mere curiosity or fear. They have become symbols, metaphors, and reflections of our hopes, fears, and desires. The phenomenon of UFO sightings and alien encounters began to gain widespread attention in the mid-20th century, as reports of strange flying objects became increasingly frequent. As these reports spread, they were picked up by the media, which helped to shape public perceptions of UFOs as mysterious and often threatening forces. At the same time, the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union, along with the broader scientific exploration of space, helped to fuel the belief that there could be other civilizations out there. The 1950s and 1960s saw a surge in UFO-related media, from books and magazine articles to movies and television shows. In these early portrayals, UFOs were often depicted as harbingers of danger, with alien invaders threatening to conquer Earth and wipe out humanity. Films like The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951, and War of the Worlds, 1953, reflected the growing anxiety surrounding the idea of extraterrestrial contact, which was often framed as a threat to national security and human survival. However, as the UFO phenomenon continued to evolve, so too did its portrayal in popular culture. By the 1970s and 1980s, UFOs and aliens were increasingly depicted not as malevolent invaders, but as more complex beings, sometimes benign, sometimes enigmatic, but always mysterious. This shift was particularly evident in the popular television series The X-Files, 1993 to 2018, which became a cultural touchstone for a generation of viewers. In The X-Files, UFOs and aliens were not simply tools of horror or destruction, but symbols of the unknown, things that humanity could never fully understand or control. The show played on the duality of fear and fascination, presenting a world in which government cover-ups and alien conspiracies existed just beneath the surface of everyday life. This representation of UFOs as a deeper, more pervasive mystery reflected a growing sense of disillusionment with government institutions and the idea that there were truths being hidden from the public. At the same time, films like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1977, and E.T. the Extraterrestrial, 1982, took a more hopeful approach to the idea of extraterrestrial contact. These films depicted aliens as beings of higher intelligence, capable of peaceful communication and understanding. In these portrayals, the encounter with an alien species was not a harbinger of doom, but an opportunity for growth, discovery, and connection. Close Encounters in particular explored the idea of human beings making contact with extraterrestrials in a way that emphasized the wonder and awe of such an encounter, rather than the fear and suspicion that often dominated earlier depictions. Similarly, E.T. introduced the idea of extraterrestrial life as something that could be nurturing and even deeply human, as the titular alien forms a bond with a young boy, teaching lessons of friendship and compassion. These contrasting portrayals, one where aliens are dangerous invaders and another where they are peaceful visitors, reflect the broader cultural impact of UFOs and alien encounters. The way we think about aliens, whether as threats or as allies, says a great deal about our own anxieties and hopes. In times of uncertainty, such as during the Cold War or the rise of technological change, the idea of extraterrestrial life often symbolized the unknown, representing both our fear of invasion and our yearning for something greater than ourselves. UFOs, in a sense, are mirrors of our cultural psyche, reflecting both our deepest fears and our most profound desires. In addition to the influence of UFOs on popular culture, they have also played a role in philosophical and scientific discussions about the nature of life and existence. The possibility that we are not alone in the universe has sparked debates about humanity's place in the cosmos and what it means to be human. Some have argued that the discovery of extraterrestrial life would have profound implications for our understanding of life itself, challenging religious and philosophical ideas about creation, evolution, and the uniqueness of human beings. Others have suggested that the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, and the study of UFOs could reveal new insights into the nature of consciousness, intelligence, and even the fabric of reality itself. In recent years, the rise of social media and online forums dedicated to UFOs and alien encounters has created space for a new kind of cultural exchange. Online communities have become a place for people to share their experiences, discuss theories, and explore the mysteries of the UFO phenomenon. These discussions have helped to expand the cultural conversation beyond traditional media portrayals, allowing individuals to engage with the topic in ways that were previously unavailable. This new form of cultural exchange has led to a democratization of UFO research, with ordinary people sharing information and resources that were once the domain of government agencies and academic researchers. It has also led to a rise in citizen scientists, individuals who are using their own skills and resources to investigate UFO sightings and alien encounters, often outside the purview of official institutions. The cultural impact of UFOs and alien encounters is not just limited to the media or academic discussions. They have become deeply embedded in our collective mythology, shaping how we view the unknown and the possibility of life beyond Earth. Whether through films, television, literature, or online communities, the idea of extraterrestrial life has become a central theme in the modern cultural landscape, reflecting our ongoing fascination with the unknown. The mystery of UFOs is not just about what we might discover about other life forms. It is also a mirror reflecting what we long to understand about ourselves, our place in the universe, our ability to transcend our limitations, and our capacity to connect with something greater than the world we know. As the conversation around UFOs continues to evolve, so too does their place in our culture. The more we explore the mysteries of the unknown, the more we reveal about our own values, fears, and hopes. In this sense, UFOs and alien encounters are not just about otherworldly visitors. They are about us. They challenge us to question everything we thought we knew about the universe. And in doing so, they force us to confront the deepest questions of human existence. Are we truly alone? And if not, what does that mean for our future? As UFO sightings continue to spark curiosity and speculation, the field of UFO research has evolved dramatically in recent years. What was once a fringe topic, often dismissed as pseudoscience or the product of overactive imaginations, is now at the forefront of public discourse, thanks in part to a series of groundbreaking events and revelations. This shift in perspective has led to a resurgence of interest in UFO phenomena, as researchers, scientists, and governments alike have begun to take a more serious approach to the subject. Today, UFOs, now often referred to as unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, are being studied with a new sense of urgency and credibility as the world begins to acknowledge the significance of these mysterious encounters. One of the most pivotal moments in this shift occurred in 2017, when the Pentagon declassified a series of videos captured by U.S. Navy pilots showing unidentified objects performing maneuvers that defied conventional understanding of physics. These videos, known as the Tic Tac and Gimbal videos, were accompanied by statements from high-ranking military officials confirming that the objects had been thoroughly investigated but remained unexplained. The release of this footage ignited a firestorm of media attention, as the public realized that the U.S. government was acknowledging the existence of UFOs as legitimate objects of study. For the first time in decades, UFOs were no longer relegated to the realm of fringe conspiracy theories. They were being treated as an important area of investigation by the highest levels of government. Following the release of the Pentagon videos, the U.S. government took further steps to investigate UFOs, culminating in the formation of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, UAPTF, in 2020. This task force was established by the Department of Defense to investigate reports of UAPs and to determine whether these objects posed a threat to national security. The establishment of the UAPTF marked a significant shift in the way the U.S. government approached UFOs, as it represented a formal, institutional effort to understand the phenomenon rather than dismiss it. In 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, released a long-awaited report detailing the findings of the UAPTF's investigations, which examined over 140 incidents of unexplained aerial phenomena. While the report did not provide definitive answers, it acknowledged that many of the objects observed exhibited flight characteristics beyond the capabilities of known human technology, suggesting that these encounters were something more than mere misidentifications or hoaxes. The report also highlighted the growing number of credible witnesses who had come forward with their accounts of UAP encounters, including military personnel, pilots, and radar operators. These individuals, who had been trained to identify and track aerial objects, were not easily swayed by misinformation or delusions. Their testimonies, coupled with the increasing number of high-quality videos and photographs, made it increasingly difficult for skeptics to dismiss the phenomenon outright. The U.S. government's acknowledgement of UAPs, along with the release of official documents, has also inspired greater transparency and collaboration between governmental agencies and independent researchers. For example, the National UFO Reporting Center, NUFORC, and the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, have seen a surge in interest and participation as more individuals have come forward with their own sightings and experiences. This increased public engagement has helped to democratize the study of UFOs, as people from all walks of life share their encounters and work together to unravel the mystery. In addition to government investigations, there has been a growing interest in UFO research within the scientific community. While mainstream science has traditionally been reluctant to study UFOs due to the stigma surrounding the topic, recent developments have prompted a rethinking of this stance. Notable scientists and academics, including astronomer Dr. Avi Loeb, have publicly advocated for a more rigorous, evidence-based approach to studying UAPs. Dr. Loeb, for example, has proposed that UAPs may represent evidence of extraterrestrial technology, citing the unusual characteristics of certain objects, such as Oumuamua, an interstellar object that passed through our solar system in 2017. Loeb's theory that the object may have been a probe sent by an advanced alien civilization has generated significant debate and has brought more credibility to the scientific study of UFOs. The involvement of the scientific community in UFO research is an encouraging development, as it lends greater legitimacy to the study of UAPs and opens the door to more rigorous investigations. As more scientific methods are applied to the study of UFOs, we may be able to gain new insights into the nature of these phenomena and their potential origins. However, the challenge remains. How do we reconcile the extraordinary nature of these sightings with the need for hard, verifiable evidence? The UFO phenomenon straddles the line between science fiction and science fact, and much of the mystery surrounding it lies in the lack of definitive proof. While there are numerous sightings and credible reports, the absence of irrefutable physical evidence leaves room for skepticism and debate. Despite these challenges, the increasing acceptance of UFOs as a legitimate area of inquiry is a step forward in our understanding of the phenomenon. It is clear that UFOs or UAPs are not just a passing fad or a topic for late-night conspiracy theorists. They are part of a broader cultural and scientific conversation about the nature of life in the universe, the limits of human knowledge, and the possibility of contact with civilizations beyond Earth. As governments, scientists, and the public continue to engage with this mystery, the potential for new discoveries is vast. The question of whether we are alone in the universe may soon be answered. But even if it is not, the journey toward that answer is bound to reveal profound truths about ourselves, our planet, and our place in the cosmos. In the end, the modern investigations into UFOs reflect a shift in human consciousness, a willingness to entertain the possibility that the universe is far more complex and mysterious than we ever imagined. The unanswered questions surrounding UFOs challenge us to look beyond the known and venture into the realm of the unknown, where science, speculation, and wonder intersect. As we continue to explore these phenomena, we are not just searching for evidence of extraterrestrial life. We are searching for a deeper understanding of the nature of reality itself. The investigation of UFOs is not just about finding aliens. It is about expanding the boundaries of what is possible, and perhaps discovering something much larger than ourselves. The reflection on UFOs and alien encounters leads us into a deep contemplation about the nature of these phenomena and their implications for humanity. As we consider the long history of UFO sightings, government cover-ups, and the numerous theories surrounding extraterrestrial life, we are forced to confront the uncomfortable fact that the answers to these mysteries may be elusive, hidden in the folds of time and space. Yet, the very act of pondering these questions is transformative. The exploration of UFOs challenges our fundamental assumptions about reality, urging us to rethink our place in the universe and our understanding of the limits of human knowledge. For many who have witnessed UFOs or experienced alien encounters, the mystery is not just about the possibility of other life forms in distant galaxies. It is also about the profound effect these experiences have on one's sense of self and understanding of the world. The UFO phenomenon forces us to consider the idea that there may be forces operating in our world beyond our current understanding of science, physics, and biology. If these phenomena are real, they suggest that the universe is much stranger and more complex than we ever imagined, and that we may be only at the beginning of uncovering its true nature. One of the most intriguing aspects of UFO encounters is their ability to disrupt the boundaries between the known and the unknown, between the real and the imagined. Witnesses often report profound feelings of awe, fear, or even a sense of being chosen or special during their encounters. These experiences can be life-altering, leading many to reconsider their beliefs about existence, the afterlife, and the nature of consciousness itself. Whether or not these encounters are evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence, they seem to awaken something deep within the human psyche, a longing for connection with something greater than ourselves. The very idea that we may not be alone in the universe offers a sense of cosmic significance, a reminder that our lives are part of a much larger story that stretches beyond the confines of Earth. This search for meaning, however, is fraught with uncertainty. Even as we gather more evidence and explore new theories, the question remains, what do these encounters mean for us as a species? Are we on the verge of discovering that we are not alone, or are these phenomena simply reflections of our own inner worlds, projections of our fears, hopes, and desires? The absence of definitive proof leaves us in a state of limbo, where the line between fact and fiction becomes blurred, and the mystery only deepens. For some, the search for answers is a personal journey, driven by a desire to make sense of their own experiences. Many individuals who have had UFO encounters describe feelings of isolation, as they find it difficult to share their experiences with others who may dismiss them as delusions or fantasies. The stigma surrounding UFO sightings and alien encounters often discourages people from coming forward, leading to a sense of silence and secrecy that can be difficult to overcome. However, as the cultural conversation surrounding UFOs evolves and more people come forward with their stories, there is a growing sense of community and solidarity among those who have experienced the phenomenon. This shared experience, however mysterious and unsettling, brings a sense of connection that transcends individual encounters. The potential for a shift in perspective is one of the most compelling aspects of the UFO phenomenon. If we are to consider the possibility that UFOs are real, that extraterrestrial intelligence exists, and that we are not alone in the universe, then the implications for human society are profound. The discovery of intelligent alien life would force us to reevaluate not only our understanding of life itself, but also our place in the cosmos. It would prompt us to reconsider our philosophies, our religions, and our relationships with one another. It might even inspire a new sense of unity among people on Earth, as we realize that we are part of a much larger, interconnected universe. At the same time, the absence of clear answers allows for a kind of open-ended exploration, where the mystery itself becomes part of the allure. The idea that there may be something just beyond our reach, something that defies explanation, taps into a fundamental human desire for discovery and adventure. UFOs are not merely objects in the sky, they're symbols of the unknown, representing the possibilities that lie outside the limits of our current understanding. In this sense, the exploration of UFOs becomes less about finding definitive proof of extraterrestrial life and more about embracing the mystery and the questions it raises. In the end, the search for truth about UFOs may never reach a conclusive endpoint. Whether or not we ever make contact with extraterrestrial life or uncover the true nature of these unexplained phenomena, the journey itself is what matters. The study of UFOs forces us to expand our boundaries, to ask difficult questions, and to challenge the assumptions that have defined our worldview for centuries. It pushes us to reconsider the nature of reality and to embrace the possibility that there is much more to the universe than we could ever have imagined. And perhaps in the process, we will discover not just the answers to the UFO mystery, but new ways of seeing and understanding the world around us. As we continue to explore the unknown, the UFO phenomenon will remain an enduring symbol of humanity's curiosity and longing for discovery. Even if the truth is elusive, the search itself, whether it leads us to distant stars or deeper into the recesses of our own consciousness, reminds us that the universe is vast and full of wonders, waiting to be uncovered. In this journey, we may not only find answers about life beyond Earth, but also unlock the mysteries of our own existence, revealing truths that challenge us to think more deeply about who we are, what we are capable of, and what lies ahead in our shared future. As we conclude our exploration into the mystery of UFOs and alien encounters, we are left with more questions than answers. Yet perhaps that is where the true intrigue lies. The journey into the unknown is not just about seeking definitive proof, but about embracing the enigma that keeps us searching. Whether or not extraterrestrial life exists, the very idea of UFOs challenges us to look beyond our limited perceptions of reality and imagine possibilities that transcend our everyday understanding of the universe. The cultural, psychological, and scientific impact of UFOs is undeniable. These encounters have shaped our imaginations, inspired countless theories, and pushed the boundaries of scientific inquiry. While governments and institutions continue to grapple with the phenomena, the increasing openness surrounding UFOs signals a shift in how we perceive the unknown. We no longer dismiss these experiences as mere fantasy. Instead, we approach them with curiosity and a willingness to explore the unexplainable. In the end, The UFO mystery remains a reflection of our collective desire to understand not just the cosmos, but ourselves. It is a reminder that there are still vast, uncharted frontiers, both in the universe and in our own understanding, waiting to be discovered. The search continues, and perhaps, in time, the answers will reveal themselves. Until then, the mystery endures, inviting us to look up at the stars with wonder.